everybody,
Sick shirt, by the way. I like this T-shirt.
Thank you. It's my horror buzz shirt, but the Pride edition.
I like that.
So,
yeah. Very cool.
Everybody, we are here with Jim Mahoney. He is
Hello.
the actor, writer behind a new movie called GATLOPP, and it's coming out June 16th. Jim, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. It's going great. I mean, I'm currently in a conference room. This isn't a fake backdrop. I am at a hotel in San Francisco. So they were kind enough to let me chill here because my hotel room was a little too stuffy. So
nice. Well, can you tell us about the film?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd love to. The idea came from hanging out with a bunch of friends, and we were playing. We were going to go out on the town to have beers or whatever, and we met at a friend's place, which he said, like, why don't we, do you guys want to play a game before we go out? And we ended up just kind of locking ourselves in and playing this stupid like party game for the entire night. In fact, where my friend who was hosting, his wife was like, you guys are supposed to go out, like get out of my house. We were having too much fun. And I had this idea about like, what if, because it's almost like this game tricked us, right? Like we were having so much fun, we didn't want to end it. And I was like, what if that happened? If you were in a situation where you were having fun and seemingly like getting drunk and like being honest with each other. And then it was essentially like a Venus flytrap. It's like lured you in. It's like now the only way to get out is to face ultimately the toughest things within yourself. And so I had this idea. I pitched it to my friend Alberto, the director of the movie, and he was like, I love it. So we decided, I wrote this movie. He helped me along the way. And it is about four friends that were sort of disconnected after nearly a decade. One guy, Paul, my character, he ends up in tough times where he gets a divorce, loses his job, loses his house. And so he has to board up with his buddy who is just trying to live like a 20-year-old forever, and gets reconnected with his friends. They find this game and it runs them through the gauntlet, which is where I got the name GATLOPP, because I was looking up weird ways of saying gauntlet and I found the Swedish term. I was like, perfect, because there's so many weird lores in Sweden. I was like, great, like this worked out.
Oh, that makes sense, because it sounded like it sounded like a piece of furniture from IKEA. So I mean, I was like,
yeah,
GATLOPP. Oh, look at that.
Like an easy piece of furniture.
So how did you end up casting the film? Because the cast, you guys have this crazy chemistry, like you've known each other for a million years. And how did you end up pulling the talent together to do this?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a lot of conversations. There was a long casting process. I myself had to audition for the movie myself, to be honest, to prove to the studio that I could do it. But also just having conversations with Emmy and Sharonis and John, there was such a shared sentiment in so many means, but they're just very talented actors. They're very, very smart. They're very open with stuff. I mean, they stuck mostly to what I had written, and they really were drawn to it, but they also were very honest when there were situations while we were filming it. They're like, here's why this doesn't quite work for me and how I see the character. And so it became these honest conversations. And I had full faith in them, as well as did Alberto, to just make it their own. And by doing that, we just all kind of fit this crazy puzzle piece so well. But it just started with conversations after seeing many, many actors. We also went through essentially two casting processes, because we started casting this movie in February and March of 2020. And we were actually, we were going into chemistry reads right before the week of the 13th of March. And then it was like, we might want to wait a second. And then,
it's just going to be a few weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks tops. Don't worry about it. It'll be the NBA shutting down. Nah, they're overreacting. But then we had to start over in the summer, and we were lucky to. I mean, it really started with Emmy. When Emmy was like, she was drawn to the material and she was available to do it this time. We got having one conversation, like I love Umbrella Academy. I think she's amazing in it. And
she's a force of nature in this movie. She's so good.
Yeah. And she's also like just a genuinely wonderful human being as well, and fucking hilarious as well.
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It's interesting that you kind of gave a lot of you allowed a lot of input and a lot of interaction and faith in the actors building up their their characters and contributing to the film. I mean, that definitely gelled the project overall.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
Sharonis also, he is, first of all, he's like one of the funniest, also one of the funniest human beings I've met in a long time, which when you meet, he's 6'8", I'm 6'5". So I'm usually the tallest guy in any set. He is much taller, but he is like a huge film geek, like a film geek, to where me and then John Bass, who is also equally hilarious, with the three of us would just run like about all these weird, stupid 90s, 80s movies that we love. And Sharonis had really smart input on a lot of the stuff as well. John had really, really smart inputs because he's a comedic, psycho genius. But I mean, sorry, I just had to make sure I let that be known that each one brought this own very intelligent way into solving story issues because of their character. Like, look, this is how it was designed. We never want to affect we don't want to adjust things in a way that maybe oversteps. So we have proposals. And it was like, absolutely, bring it at, like, let's talk about it. And it was always very smart, and it was always very helpful, and it was fast too. It was like on the fly at times. It was great.
That's the film looks great. And I was so grateful to see a title sequence. I love title sequences. But
That's Alberto. That's Alberto's genius,
yeah,
man.
a damn good choice. To me, it's kind of like the overture for the but the game itself, was it inspired by any other games in particular? I mean, Monopoly is a pretty bleak game. I mean, like, there are were there any inspirations?
I mean, I think that it is 100% inspired by watching the movie Jumanji. I mean, the original one, like, absolutely. I will not deny that. I mean, honestly, when I pitched it to Alberto, I was like, what if Jumanji was a drinking game? And he was like, yes. So it was very much inspired by that. But I wanted to make it more of a party game, obviously. And there was several games that were fun. Obvious things like there's that game, oh man, what's Cranium, I think is what it's called, where there's like different things where you can use clay, you can use there's charades, there's drawing stuff. There's this hilarious game called Quelf, QUELF, which is so much fun. It is so stupid and so great. Cards Against Humanity, stuff like that. These are all little pieces that inspired like what would be a fun way to get people to have a good time, get people to open up, but then also how could you twist it and work it against them? How could you get them, and then just basically get them to answer honest questions about themselves? I think it's like it's a kitchen sink of silly games, I guess.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, you've never lived until you played Cards Against Humanity with your 75-year-old mom.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
That was embarrassing, and it was fun. So listen, the best of luck on GATLOPP and its release on June 16th, on demand and digital. The movie is really fun.
Thank you.
Looks great and kind of zips along, and that was a lot of fun. So best of luck to that. And Jim, thank you for talking to us, sir.
Norman, thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care.